Chapter 24. From previous chapter, I still remember when Seal told me the truth of existence. It was surprising but not unexpected. Flashback. Continuation ROM Chapter 17. The Supreme Deity. Greater than it's too much to take in all at once. Just run an appraisal on me. Also, you mentioned the fiction world and Tensura world a few times. Could you explain that to me as well? Less than. Continuation Rimuru Pav. Less than yes, Master, I will explain that later. But first, about appraising you, please forgive me, Master. I can't measure our powers. Greater than huh? What do you mean by you can't measure my powers? How is this possible? Less than after coming into the void, Master began absorbing Nihilithy energy, eventually becoming its source and merging with the essence of the void. After this, Master became a being beyond anyone's imagination, a supreme being who is even beyond everything, even beyond the concept of void and nothingness, a being transcending even the very concept of true omnipotence, true omniscience, and true omnipresence. Now, Master's power goes beyond measurement, transcending the very concept of measurement, surpassing even the void and nothingness themselves. The void is the fundamental origin and conclusion of all existence, while nothingness is the origin of the void, a concept that exists beyond the void. Existence as we know it merely exists within a fraction of the void, while Master stands as an entity beyond the void. With such unfathomable power, Master's mere thoughts possess the ability to shape everything, even reality dances to Master's wishes. Now, whatever Master desires comes into existence and becomes reality. At a whim, with just a mere thought, Master could obliterate Veldanava's entire creation, reducing it to absolute nothingness, including Veldanava himself, who transcends every concept in existence. Now, Master holds absolute authority over everything. Now, Master is capable of both destruction and creation of everything at will. Even I find myself at a loss when attempting to comprehend the vast depth of Master's power. It seems limitless, continually surpassing itself with each passing moment. At this very moment, Master surpasses their former self, becoming stronger than how powerful Master was just a moment before. Now Master has become the embodiment of power, a being who is above everything, a being who rules over everything. Now, Master has become, in the truest sense, the one who rules over everything, and, the king of all existence, greater than. What the fuck? How did this happen? I never intended to become this powerful. All I wanted was to become strong enough so that no one could control or interfere in my life. My only desire was to live a peaceful life, simply relaxing with Seal by my side. Well, I can't change it now, so let's accept the fact that I've become stronger than I ever imagined and move forward. Yes, let's just go with this idea. As they say, if you can't change it, embrace it. That's what I'll do. Greater than even though I have become strong, I still don't understand why, in this infinite or endless space we call the void, only the small place that Veldanava created exists. Why is there nothing more? Wait, can that be called space? In the void, space doesn't exist, so what is it? I'll think about that later, but for the time being, let's just call it space. Also, you still haven't told me about the fiction world and the Tensura world. And don't say that I can be aware of this by using true omniscience. I know that I can, but I don't want to do that because if I do, then it won't be as interesting compared to hearing it from you. So just tell me, less than hi. Hi, I get it. So Master, the answer to both of these questions is the same. Actually, the void is divided into three parts. They are the part that Veldanava created, the part that Veldanava did not create, and the remaining is the void. Greater than explain. Less than yes, Master, so let's just call the place that Veldanava created, the Tensura world and the place that Veldanava did not create, the fiction world, with the remaining being the void. Veldanava was born in the void, and after being born, he had nothing to do. Eventually, he became bored, so he started to create the world in a fraction of space within the void. He began by creating time and space, and later, he created the rest of the world, which we know as the Tensura world. In that world, he created many things, such as an infinite number of omniverses, and within each omniverse, there are infinite multiverses, and within each multiverse, there are infinite universes, and many more. Additionally, there are infinite timelines and parallel worlds. He also created infinite dimensions, including the spiritual world, the material world, the semi-spiritual world, greater Holy Spirit of space, greater Holy Spirit of time, great Spirit of light, great Spirit of darkness, chaos worlds, void worlds, dream worlds, promised lands, haven, underworlds, hell, the Star King Palace, and many more things. On the other hand, the fiction world is hard to understand because it is made directly by the void. The void has its own consciousness, but it's not like ours. It doesn't have any ego and can't think for itself. It just knows that it exists and has an infinite amount of space. Also, the void recognizes master as its own master. So when the void started to become conscious and realized it had infinite space, it began to fill this space. That's when it created Veldanava in the fiction world. Also, at the time, it created Veldanava and separated the space that Veldanava is in, which is also known as the Tensura world, the void, and the fiction world. That's why it's impossible for anyone to travel between these worlds. Of course, as the ruler of the void and the king of all existence, Master can freely move in any world he desires at will. The fiction world is also created by the void. In the fiction world, there are several people who are as strong as Veldanava or even stronger than him. In the fiction world, there are infinite layers that separate each world inside the fiction world, and these layers are parallel to each other. For the people inside the layers, it's impossible for them to go beyond one layer because the void has made these layers using Nihilithy energy. No one from either the Tensura world or the fiction world is capable of withstanding the presence of Nihilithy energy or using it, so these infinite layers cannot be destroyed by anyone, regardless of whether they are from the Tensura world or the fiction world. And that's why no one knows about these other worlds, and they can never cross between the worlds inside the fiction world either. There are worlds in the fiction world that have an infinite number of omniverses, and each omniverse has an infinite number of multiverses. Also, some of these worlds have their own void, but it depends on which world it is. They, greater than, wait. How is it possible to have an infinite number of omniverses in one layer? Because if the layer is separating the worlds from each other, then there should be a limited amount of space inside each layer, right? Less than, yes and no, master. What you're saying is indeed true in a conventional sense. Typically, the idea of layers implies a finite space, as one would expect. However, within the fiction world, the concept of layers operates differently. These layers, while distinct and separating worlds, are parallel to each other, extending infinitely in all directions. This means that each layer possesses an infinite expanse of space, despite their role in separating worlds. Greater than I see, that makes sense. If two parallel lines are infinite in length, then there should indeed be an infinite amount of space between them. Parallel lines, by definition, never intersect, ensuring an infinite distance between them. It's fascinating how this principle extends to the layers within the fiction world, allowing for an infinite number of omniverses within each layer. Continue with your explanation. Less than, yes, you are right, master. And new layers are continuously being added to these existing layers, which is why there are infinite layers. It happens because the void is always trying to fill its infinite amount of space. That's why it constantly creates new layers and adds them to the fiction world. But even if we were to combine all the space of the Tensura world and the fiction world, it would not even be a fraction of the void's expanse. If we consider the void as 100%, which is impossible, then the combined space occupied by the Tensura world and the fiction world would be like this. The void 100% equals the Tensura world 0.0001% plus the fiction world 0.0001% plus the remaining void 98%. As for the notable individuals in the fiction world who are slightly weaker, as strong, or stronger than Veldanava. Greater than, wait. How many are there exactly? Less than, there are many more, master. Greater than, for now, forget about the strongest people. Just tell me, is there anything else? Less than, yes, master. The combination of the Tensura world and fiction world is called the existence, and master has become the strongest in the entire existence. This existence is only a fraction of the void, and master can create and destroy this whole existence at will. Greater than, so you're saying that I am above all of this, including the void. Less than, yes. Greater than, you mean I am stronger than everyone in existence. Less than, yes. Greater than, ha, I've really become strong, huh. Less than, Greater than and why are there some people in the fiction world who are named God, creator, ruler of everything, and one above all, and things like that. Less than the thing is, master, because they can't go outside of the layers, they only have knowledge of their own world and don't know that there is something beyond their world exists. So after becoming the strongest in their world, they gave or acquired these kinds of titles and names. Greater than I see, it makes sense now. If we are also in our world and become the strongest, not knowing about outside worlds, we will assume that we are above everything. Anyway, how do we know this exactly? Less than master, even though we have become true omniscient beings, you still haven't changed at all. Greater than, are you saying that I am an idiot? Less than, I never said that. I just said that you haven't changed. And now it's you who are saying that you're an idiot, so were you thinking that you were an idiot before becoming a true omniscient being too? Greater than tch asterisk you are too smart for your own good. Well, whatever, just tell me. Less than he greater than smug face. Less than it's because of us being true omniscient that we have transcended our own concept of concept. Everything that existed, didn't exist, and will exist has already happened for us. Now, all actions are our doing, everything is known by us. Whether material or spiritual, everything is turned into simple information for us, including laws, concepts, and more. And that's why we know everything. Greater than I see, now it all makes sense. But as a trial, can I be able to destroy the fiction world? Less than Psi Master, in this moment, you've just annihilated the fiction world. Didn't I emphasize that your desires manifest into reality effortlessly? Your mere thought of its destruction has made it non-existent. Greater than ha ha ha, did I truly obliterate the entirety of the fiction world? So, how do I restore it to its former state? Less than Psi really, Master, just think about it. Greater than him, it worked. I've successfully reconstructed the fiction world to its previous state. Less than Psi you are again starting to act like a child. But your different sides just make me love you more. Greater than don't say such embarrassing things when readers are reading. You can say this when we are alone, not now. Damn you, author. Less than don't break the fourth wall, Master. Greater than well, who cares if I break the fourth wall or not? Now, no one is stronger than me. I am above everyone, even the author, and not only that, but other authors as well. I can control this and all other stories. Less than even if that's the case, don't break it. Greater than understood. And why are you acting like my mother? Less than good. I am not acting like a mother, I am just making sure that Master is becoming a responsible being. Greater than less than one more thing, Master. Greater than what? Less than it's about our swords. Greater than what about them? Less than Master, with us, our swords also became strong enough that now your sword has become the incarnation of supreme destruction and the end of everything. It has the ability to turn any existing and non-existing concept, law, and being into void. While my sword is the opposite of yours. Greater than damn, didn't see that coming, but compared to what you just told me, it doesn't sound that strange. Less than greater than but still, even after knowing everything, I want to understand how Veldanava created this Tensura world. From the outside, it looks simple, but upon closer inspection, it is incredibly complex. Even though I could become aware of how he made this world and everything about it, if I do so, it won't be interesting anymore. So, could you tell me how he created this world and everything about the Tensura world? Less than understood. Before the creation, there was. Greater than, third person Pav. With that, Seal began her explanation. What she explained to Rimuru is. Before the creation, to be continued.